Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I want to tell you about our great friends over at Streetside Brewery, the best daggone brewery you're going to find in or around Cincinnati, located at 4003 Eastern Avenue in the Columbia-Tusculum-ish area of Cincinnati. You will find, like I said, one of the best breweries around. They have fantastic beers, a wide variety, a huge selection, delicious food on offer, an incredibly friendly staff. We could not be happier to be partnering with them. And Sunday, May 3rd at 7:30 a.m., they are hosting a Flying Pig watch party. The runners and walkers will be going right past Streetside. They'll have live music and beer specials all day. So if you want to partake in a Cincinnati tradition unlike any other, go check out Streetside, particularly on Sunday at 7:30 a.m. It'll be a good time. Plan your driving route accordingly. Okay. Don't get yourself stuck. So thank you to Streetside for sponsoring, and thank you, dear listener, for checking them out. And on today's episode, you aren't ready for the vibes on this one. Okay. Look, this team has done it. Clean sheet, 2-0 victory, conquering the blood feud, revenge for earlier this year, and did it with a lineup that everybody doubted. 17-year-olds are in this lineup. Dado Valenzuela, deep-lying playmaker. What? Pavel Buka, wingback. Guidi, centerback. Moma Dem, pretty good striker. What is going on right now? This team is a blast. There is an endless amount of things to talk about and complain about and celebrate from this game and in this episode. It is so much fun. Then in part 2, we wrap it all up with some of your questions. Put it all together. You got yourselves the start of a winning streak. Cincy Postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more are two gentlemen who do not have time for my old man takes about grocery shopping, which is what I was going to offer you guys, because there's too much to talk about after this game on Saturday. Joined by the Chief, joined by Grayson. Grayson, vibes, where are you right now after that win?
Vibes are so high that I can't even entertain thoughts about the fact that like Forsberg didn't play for most of the game, or that like Red Bulls are really bad this year, or that Red Bulls, trotted out like a pretty bad lineup to start the game. Like none of those thoughts can even enter my head. I'm feeling so good about the performance that the team put out last night.
Chief, we had a 17-year-old pay no mind that they had 3 teenagers in their starting lineup. Where are your vibes tonight?
Yeah, no, I paid a full price ticket, but ended up going to a GCL match, it seems like, in terms of age of participant on the field. Where am I at right now? The first half, Red Bull sucks. We'll get that out of the way. Their good start, their fast start was a very clear mirage. There is some good players on this team, but I don't care about all that because this teams look bad against bad teams. Like this teams look bad against good teams. Yeah. Step one to looking good is, looking good. Like you got to start somewhere with that. And the first 45 minutes of this game was the first time all year for me that this team started a match and played consistently well throughout that time. And I'm not going to worry myself with substitutions or personnel on the field or anything. Where I'm at right now is we've been talking about uncomfortable conversations needing to happen with this team, but it's always been in the context of the uncomfortable conversation around, leadership positions in this team.
Yeah.
There are going to have to be some uncomfortable conversations about players selection, perhaps, positioning, perhaps. And I'm here for it because the only way this gets better is to let's all work through this a little bit. And not even us, like the team, Chris Albright, Pat Noonan, the coaching staff, maybe even ownership. I don't know. But my eyes did not deceive me in what I watched last night.
Yeah, it's it's a funny one where, we've looked at the general manager's job, which is absolutely still in question, especially after Saturday. We looked at the head coach's job, and the coaching staff job generally, and there's certainly questions still out there. The second half looked very different than the first half. You wonder why. But I think, Chief, to your point, this game calls a lot of questions into some of the nailed on starters on this team. When healthy, this guy cannot budge from the lineup. Well, we saw a couple of guys play out of position. We saw some youngsters get promoted up, and they look as good, if not much better. So it's gonna be difficult when the team gets healthy. Before we go much further, I want to read the lineup. But before I read the lineup, did you guys see who pulled the sword for this game?
Yeah, the person who filled in for someone we're never going to learn that backed out at the last minute, or suddenly decided they weren't available for the evening. Or the other alternative is, as somebody pointed out online, wow, Cincinnati has finally run out of celebrities and quasi-celebrities.
Who do you think was supposed to be the sword puller? If you weren't there, it was Gary the Lion, the mascot, pulled the sword.
Which is tough. He's always there. Surely, it's not special.
Yeah. Like,
they said it was for
interrupt things.
They said it was for Mascot Appreciation Day or something like that. But if that was the case, why wouldn't Who Day? Yeah, why wouldn't Who Day or some other team's mascot do it?
Surely that's a joke.
Yeah.
We're not doing Mascot Appreciation Day. I'm sorry.
You don't get a card for your mascot in your life on that day?
You are not a... No, mascot is not an identity group, or it's a job.
Is it like
nurses are a job?
Yeah, teachers but nurses and teachers do things.
Is this like a
there's some public?
Well, hold on. Is Mascot Appreciation Day like sort of a backdoor sort of trial balloon acceptance for like a furry appreciation day?
I was thinking the same thing.
Costumed individual appreciation.
If that's the case, let's talk.
Yeah,
I don't want half measures.
I'd like to be part of this. I'd like to help us kind of figure out what's going on here.
A furry appreciation day at TQL Stadium does raise the possibility of Opie finally getting back into the building legally.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Opie should have pulled the sword.
Opie would have been a better choice.
Opie would have been a better choice. Yeah. If we're just gonna do a day honoring every job, are we also gonna do CIA fingernail puller appreciation day?
I think that would be generally torturer. I think fingernail puller is probably a little too niche right there. The water borders
a specific
and the electrodes.
I feel like water border and fingernail puller are different skill sets.
Yeah, but you have to give them a day then, and there's only so many days in the year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to think of the colored stripe flag, and I think there is one for
sorry guys.
We actually officer or something.
I would like to apologize for some of the language that we just used. I think enhanced interrogator appreciation day.
There we go.
Is the accepted terminology.
Let's get legally correct here.
I didn't mean to be disrespectful to anybody.
I think they're actually
especially at times like this.
Yeah, I think they're actually termed essential frontline warriors in the war on terror.
Yes.
The global
they're not
war
first
on terror.
responders; they're like second responders.
Like, but they respond nevertheless.
They're called precision actors.
Okay. So speaking of this, I wasn't going to bring this up tonight.
Human asset resources.
Yep.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but this happened to me before the match.
Kevin, you got to stop sneaking into these games. You're going to get taken down to the little room, and they're going to use the contraption on you until you stop. Okay, we need to have a conversation about this.
Very legal entry. I have season tickets now. So enter through the gate. It's the workhorse gate for whatever it's worth, but I don't know. People might have different experiences at different gates. We go through the gate, and I
wouldn't dox myself like that, Kevin, but you do you.
Well, to undox and therefore dox myself, it's not near my seats. I had quite the hike after I got in through that gate, but I just make it through security where there's a group of us, 5 of us are going to the game together. We just make it through security as the national anthem starts. And one of the employees yells to all the other employees, like anthems up or something along those lines. They all stop working. And there are like people also still trying to get in.
Yeah.
I've heard of this before. They stop working during the national anthem. Okay, fine. So we start to walk up the steps and it sort of like zigzags up and around a little bit. They start yelling at us for moving, for walking up the steps. And I yelled back like, that's not how this works.
I'm sorry.
We go to another flight of steps and they're still yelling at us to stop walking up the steps.
All I'm hearing is Kevin is a bad American right here is all this.
That's probably true.
Like probably the most American thing you can do is accept that you can't advance yourself.
Well, I was going to say the most American thing you can do is remain working while other people are taking time off.
That's actually
correct. You should have to keep working through the anthem. That's how the country works.
Yes. Especially like when people are like other people are relaxing, you're working. Like that's the most American thing ever on a weekend.
Yeah.
I always had this move while the anthem is playing. When has that been a rule?
It never has. I was about to say, I always thought the unwritten rule of the national anthem was that if you were inside the seating bowl or like the arena during the national anthem, it's, expected, I would say, that you rise and that you at least, whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to sing, you sing, you don't sing, you stand there respectfully. Colin Kaepernick might have a different thought on this. It's okay. We're not going to get into that. But I always thought that when you were in the concourse, if you just happen to be in the concourse when the national anthem hit, we don't cease transactions. We're still moving the beer line. We're still moving the food line. And, they do their thing in there. You're not showing any disrespect because the performance is happening elsewhere.
Yes.
There has been long-term anthem creep in this country, and nobody has the courage to say anything about it. Okay. And I got to say, like, we are giving up our freedoms.
Yes,
we are.
And acting grateful for it, which is pathetic as Americans. Right. So, like, the first time that I ever noticed anthem creep was when, like, I was a kid and it went from like doing just the pledge in the morning, which normal, makes sense, whatever, who cares?
Extremely normal behavior.
Yeah.
To doing the pledge and the anthem in the morning.
You guys see the anthem in the morning?
After 9/11, they started throwing in the anthem.
Oh no.
And then when Obama was president, there was that scandal where he stood respectfully with his hands behind his back while the anthem played, and everybody got mad. Everybody got mad that he like didn't have his hand over his heart,
which is not.
And I was like, no, you do the hand over the heart for the pledge. Right. You stand respectfully or take your hat off if you're wearing one for the anthem, right?
Which is very funny because in lots of cultures, you cover your head to show respect, but that's a whole nother thing.
Whatever. And then now you do see a lot of people putting their hand over their heart. And I don't do it, not to be disrespectful, but because like that wasn't how I was raised. And I'm not going to like, we're not going to like march toward Gilead in like, in just having like new rules thrust on what you have to do while the anthem is playing, right?
And
I'm especially not going to cover
code.
Yeah, I'm also especially not going to cover the badge on the kit I paid $175 for during the national anthem. That's not going to happen.
All right. So then now, yeah, you're 100% right, Chief. Like the rule was always, if you were in the concourse or whatever, the anthem had nothing to do with you.
Right.
It's not your business.
But yeah, now everyone stops when the anthem's going. And I don't think that was always how it was in TQL.
I don't remember this being a thing at TQL until I got caught in the
last season or 2 seasons ago.
I got caught in the everybody stop, it's anthem time. I got caught in that at the end of last year. And I was like, really? When are we doing this? This was never a thing at Nippert. I am the other direction. I am now excited to see how far we can push anthem creep. So like what I was thinking we need to do is we need to put some speakers on the outside of the stadium, and it's got
like has to stop serving drinks.
Yeah, the across the street at the pitch, I need all the bartenders to stop too. It's like the call to prayer. We're broadcasting this to the entire West End, and if you stop at that, if anyone's moving, if I see traffic moving, if I see people crossing the street instead of standing respectfully for the anthem, then you know what? We're done. We're done. You're anti-American, and it's off to Alligator Guantanamo or whatever it is down there.
This happened to
not prayer is so good.
This happened to my wife and I in Thailand, where so in Bangkok, they play their national anthem. They play their national anthem like twice a day.
Okay.
And everyone has to just like stop. Like everyone has to just like stop. Whatever you're doing in the middle of the street, you have to just like stop and like observe the anthem. Okay. And we had no idea that this was going to happen. And it's our first day there. We go to like the pier area where there's like a bunch of like, it's like a market district or whatever. And we go and we're there pretty early in the morning. And then suddenly like a bunch of music starts playing and like everybody stops and we're just like, oh, that's interesting. We're just like walking. And some guy like comes up and she's just like waving his hands at us. And I was like, no, I'm all right, man. I know where we're going. Like,
and this is how Grayson avoided being a part of International Finger Puller Appreciation Day.
Yeah.
What happens if we take this to its natural extreme? What happens if FC Cincinnati plays the national anthem while the Reds are at bat at a game in Great American Ballpark? Do the Reds have to stop and everybody stand respectfully because TQL is playing the national anthem?
Can you force people around you to stop by playing it on like a Bluetooth speaker that you have with you?
Yeah, that's true. Like, how far does this go? Like, anytime you hear the national anthem, you just got to stop whatever you're doing at any given moment.
Oh, so like you throw home?
You could throw that with a Bluetooth speaker out your car window and just have the national anthem playing, and then you can speed off while the cop has to stand at attention.
Imagine you're home.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Imagine like you're just at home, right? And a giant Amazon box shows up and your wife comes up to you and you can tell she's going to like tell you to like assemble something. So you just like pull your phone out and you start playing the anthem.
Instead of an ice cream truck playing the ice cream truck music, it's just a thing playing the national anthem down the street, and everybody that's doing anything just has to stop until it is out of earshot. Because I think the standard is if you can hear the anthem, you've got to stop. And it's like anthem's up, stop, stand at attention. And so it's just a mobile unit just paralyzing society as it drives by in various places.
Everyone has to just like stop and keel over like in Goldfinger.
In Fort Knox.
At Fort Knox, when they're just like putting out that gas to like knock everybody out.
You could do devastating damage to the American economy by hacking Alexas around the country and just playing the national anthem on nonstop.
Just everybody's like at their home, like standing rigidly at attention. No commerce is getting done. No one showing up for work.
Just crying. You're starving.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that was the pre-match. That's
the pre-match. Yeah. Look, we are we're never beating the allegations. We have thoughts about
we're America first.
America First podcast. Yeah, absolutely. We are pro-America.
We are the most America First soccer podcast in the United States.
Yes.
Probably in the world at that point, right? Because there's certainly not going to be a more America First podcast in like England.
I mean, take that further than the universe at that point. There can't possibly be, if we're number one on Earth, I can't imagine that they have a more American podcast elsewhere.
In this universe or any other.
Any other universe, yeah. No, I agree with that.
The multiverse will be tough to beat, but I like it.
Having said that,
okay, we
can be a little less hardo about letting people into the stadium during the national anthem. Because not only, like, look, even if we're going to have a policy of once you're inside the stadium, it's anthem time, you have not crossed the threshold yet. Until you scan your ticket, you are not a willing participant in the national anthem. Because again, if that's the standard, then everybody on the sidewalk should have to stop. So your obligation for the national anthem should only be triggered by the scanning of a ticket and entrance into the stadium. At that point, if you want to enforce hey, everybody stand respectfully as soon as you get inside, that's fine. But you can't control that for me. I have not consented to that until I scan the ticket. And also, not for nothing, if you find yourself in a position where you are still trying to scan your ticket and get in at the national anthem, you have probably miscalculated slightly your arrival time to the game. And that's a stressful thing in a sport where once the ball kicks off, it's nonstop action until halftime. Yeah. And those are valuable minutes of me getting to my seat, getting a beverage and getting situated. And all you are going to do, and I'm saying this just from a self-preservation standpoint for the team, somebody is going to get very mad about this, and there's going to be a confrontation that is not going to go well. Someone's going to choose aggressively to not put their hand over their heart and perhaps put their hand on someone who is restraining them from getting into the stadium because I spent a lot of money on this ticket. I'm very thirsty, and I can see the seconds counting away that I have to get my shit done before I get into the game.
I sometimes get this opportunity, and the next time I do, I will try this. I suspect at the higher end level of the ticket, they don't stop for the anthem. I just a hypothetical. And they're not holding up the tunnel club from letting you get in there if the national anthem's playing. They're come right on in, sir. So we'll see.
They don't cut off the self-serve taps down there just because there's the stars and stripes are being honored.
Yeah, or that it's the 80th minute. So the lineup in this game after Gary pulled the sword, Corbin Bone wasn't around. Austin Berry wasn't around. Roman Celentano in goal. It was Samuel Guidi as your left center back, Andrei Chirila in the central of the back line, and Kyle Smith as your right center back. It was Brian Ramirez as your left wing back, and Pavel Buka as your right wing back. Anunga and Dado Valenzuela. Dado holding down the midfield. Evander ahead of him, Kenji Momodem, and Kevin Denkey up top. Wild formation. Grayson, where did your eyes go first? What stood out to you first in this one?
It was probably Sammy Guidi
that's a funny one,
at left center back. Not something I'd really expected to see or considered. Given all who was available, I think we expected Chirila and Smith to be there. Buka wingback was also an interesting choice.
We've seen it late in games a couple of times,
right? But if you already
Good.
But if you already have Guidi in left center back, right? Moving Buka over to right wing back leaves you with some interesting choices at midfield, which were interesting. I believe we have discussed on this podcast before about Dotto getting some center midfield minutes.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see that come, yesterday with Dotto next to Anunga there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a position where we thought we needed to go deep, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it was interesting looking at this lineup. This lineup was very similar to how they finished and won the midweek game against NYCFC. Yeah. And for everyone that was saying, man,
tied.
Why can't you, or tied? Well, the win that feels like a tie,
the moral victory,
or the tie that feels like a win. Yeah. And it was sort of an answer for everyone that says, well, why can't you build the entire plane out of the black box? Or why can't you play more like you did at the end of this game, where you were aggressive, you were on the front foot, you scored goals. And in that moment, due to the way everything had shaken out with the substitutions, you were left with Pavel Buka playing on the wing, Sammy Guidi deployed in a center back position, Andrei Chirila on the field. And it's like, well, what if we just did more of that again? And I when I saw the lineup, nothing about it was shocking. The shocking part was, the mad lads, they did it. They're going to try this.
I want to go ahead.
I was going to say, just because that's a level of creative thinking I just don't usually associate with the Pat Noonan regime.
Yeah, I thought it was, especially in retrospect, I thought it was pretty ballsy from the coaching staff to say, and this is uncharacteristic, not being ballsy, but like this specific choice was uncharacteristic of just saying, I think maybe I'm wrong, but what it seems to me is it was a choice to put guys on the field who were as good with the ball as we could field, with the idea that we're going to play with the ball and use the ball to try to control the game and try to avoid putting ourselves into nervy defensive situations by how we're controlling the game with the ball.
Yeah. So there's some things at play here that I think are probably worth mentioning. And that's that there were some minutes issues from guys that have been racking up a lot of minutes this week with the condensed schedule, the 3 matches in 7 days. So some of that some of this, the lineup changes are explained by that. So like, for example, like Kenji Mboma playing up top as striker. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, he's played a lot, but so has Tom Barlow. Barlow played a ton of minutes this week. So that wasn't as strange to me. I still think it is a little strange. And part of the thing about this lineup too is that it says some things, I think, about some individual players and where the coaching staff views them. And I think chief among them is that this is a pretty, I won't say damning, but it's an insightful look at where they view Ayoub Jabari. That you have Ayoub Jabari, who you paid, not an insignificant amount of money for this offseason. You paid almost around $1 million for him. And you're in a situation where Barlow has played a ton of minutes. Jabari hasn't played nearly as many, and Jabari's not on the field to start this game. You're starting, again, Kenji Mboma, who had played a lot of minutes himself. The other person who I think in all of this, you have to say not great, is you've got Alberto Flores, who is a center back, and the team made the choice, I think correctly, to start two players out of position on the back line and kept Flores on the bench, an actual center back. And what the end result of all this is sort of what Grayson said, was that you end up with a lineup that is very adept at passing and moving the ball to a degree that, like, we don't usually see. You end up with Sammy Guidi, and Guidi we've had issues with, or I've had issues with his passing in the midfield. But when you move him back to center back, all of a sudden he becomes a plus passer as a center back.
Yeah.
Because an average midfield passer immediately shoots up to become one of the best passers you're going to have on the back line. You put Gato Valenzuela in the midfield. He's a very good passer, and I think you saw that in his first half passing statistics. And Pavel Buka out on the wing. You know, Pavel, we've had issues with his passing as well. He's a better passer than Andrei Chirila. So a lot of the issues that, like, you know, Doyle talked about it in his column a couple weeks ago, that this team doesn't pass well. Well, for the first time, they put a lineup out on the field where you saw them pinging one-touch passes around. And there was an incredible moment, maybe like 20 minutes into this game, where they broke a high press, with nothing but like a passing sequence of 7 or 8 one-touch quick passes. And the fans applauded because it was like, I haven't seen this team do this. They didn't collapse. They didn't fold like a cheap suit under pressure. They moved the ball around and got it to space and advanced it.
Yeah, if you look at the first half stats, I'm going to rattle some off. So we had 64%. This is from FOTMob. 64% possession, 2.76 expected goals versus 0.28 to New York Red Bull. 13 shots to Red Bull's 4 shots on target, 3 big chances. Red Bulls had 0. 1 big chance missed. 91% passing.
Good God.
As a team. And it was interesting, like, looking back at these stats, because, you know, this morning, like, the strangest thing happened. Like, there was like a knock on my door and like some type of pipe organ sound. And I went down and nobody was there. But there was like a folded up at my stoop, a publication called Broadway World.
Oh wow.
No.
And they had written about the game.
Whoa.
And one of the headlines was this. It was you can't stop the beatdown. With a young lineup featuring the nicest kids in town, play through the air, spraying passes around. The FC offense woke up today saying, "Good morning, ball, 2 more goals."
Forced at the end, but I like it.
Was wondering how that plane was going to land at the end right there. Like, I saw it on approach. I was like, I don't think it's going to make the runway. It was a rough landing, but we got there.
Incredible.
After all these years, Broadway World still churning out the hits, baby.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw it too. Couldn't believe it.
The circulation must be down. They're desperate for more publicity for their FC Cincinnati coverage. What's kind of wild that Broadway World is still covering the FC after the Inquirer has basically dropped coverage.
Yeah, but the Post hasn't, baby.
No, has not.
More on
Kevin,
that later this week.
Kevin, I'm going to give you an opportunity here to talk a little bit about your boy Dato Valenzuela as the leader, the self-proclaimed leader of the Dato gang. Your thoughts on your hero's performance, and maybe more interestingly, your thoughts on the role he was deployed in for this match.
It is not something that I thought he would be as good as what he was. Like I didn't expect this from Dotto, and I'm chief amongst his, his singing the praise, the choir, as it were. He goes the full 90, which doesn't always get to happen for Dotto, which I loved that. He misses 2 passes all night. He finishes 42 of 44. I don't have it in front of me. I saw somebody mention he was perfect passing in the first half. Incredible stuff. I think his night deserved an assist or a goal because he was doing so much. The deep lying playmaking he was doing, he was winning headers, he was winning the ball back. It was a breath of fresh air, and it allowed Evander the full freedom to move around, and it kept Momodem and Denkey ahead of him. And I think it really played nicely into having Anunga there to take more of the defensive responsibilities. Rather than having, say, 2 box-to-box guys, Dotto was able to be deployed more as like a deep-lying playmaker. I'll say it, Pirlo-esque role, whereas Anunga was allowed to be purely focused on ball winning. But that's not to say Dotto didn't do that. I mean, Dotto is 6 of 7 on accurate long balls in this game, which is incredible. But he's 6 of 7 in ground duels won. Okay, like he has an interception, 5 recoveries, 3 clearances, 8 defensive contributions in total. So he's not doing nothing from that role. And it served this team very well. He was doing the job there that I think the hope was that like Buka or Gidi would be able to do in addition to some defensive responsibilities. And we just haven't seen, and that's a lot to put on those guys' plate. But Dotto being able to do that, and to what I know Grayson's been calling for, we got to see Evander and Dotto play together on the field, and they had a couple of moments where they're backheeling the ball to each other and stuff. Like, it didn't always come off perfect, but I want to see more of it. I want to see that get better. It was awesome, man. Like, it was, if there's a way to get him on the field doing that more often, I don't see why we wouldn't do it.
He did have the hockey assist on Kevin Denkey's goal, where he plays the incredible ball down the sidelines to Pavel Buka, sets him up 1v1, able to get the touch through his defender, centering pass, tap in goal to Kevin Denkey. So, I think he gets credit for that. He also gets credit for a major deflection early in the game that saves a goal scoring opportunity for New York. So
Roman gives him the big bear hug immediately when that ball goes out of bounds.
Roman's just sick of getting scored on, man. Yes. Like Roman, like that was a dude who was like, they say like, men who are starved for touch. That was a man who's been like, there's been too much touch. And I want to thank you right now, because I need to get a clean sheet in the worst way. Yes. And if this is keeping me there, I'm going to enjoy this a few moments more of not seeing a crooked number on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
It's funny with the Dotto role and with this lineup, because I think you pegged it correctly there. And that's that they did not deploy the traditional setup for FC Cincinnati since Pat Noonan put the 3-5-2 system into effect, or the 3-4-1-2, however you want to classify it, has been that your midfielders in this setup have always been an attacking midfielder that's been sort of the maestro of the offense from the front. Yeah. That was Lucho. Evander was brought in theoretically to do the same thing. You had a destroyer midfielder, and that was always Obi, or when Obi was hurt, Brian Anunga. And then that would be someone that their only job is ball winning and stopping attacks in the offensive third.
Yeah.
Or the defensive third. And then your third midfielder was your stereotypical 8, your box to box midfielder. Junior Moreno played this role. Pavel Bucha has played this role where it's just you're the little bit of this, little bit of that guy with some offensive responsibilities, some defensive responsibilities. And this is, to my knowledge, this is the first time they've not really deployed that formation, because there was like Dotto was on the field, but Dotto was not playing in a box-to-box midfielder role at all. He was that deeper lying playmaker, facilitator, ball distributor that they don't ask Pavel Bucha to do, or Guidi when Guidi is playing that role.
Or they can't do it, which I don't know, but
I don't know either. But so you still had a Nunga who was playing in the more typical destroyer role, but even a Nunga was a little more on the ball than we'd seen previously. He's a little nice with it from time to time when it comes to, his ball skills and his dribbling skills. But what this allowed to happen is that by having Dotto in that role as a play designer or like a offensive facilitator from the back, it took that responsibility away from Evander, to where they weren't looking always to find Evander to set a play up. Instead, Dotto was charged with the responsibility of finding Evander in a more advanced position so that Evander didn't have to advance the ball from behind the midfield line so often. It's a very interesting wrinkle to the idea of that you don't have to change your formation all the time to change what you're doing within it. And I think the other thing was that I think that's allowed, or it was able to happen because Pavel is just a more complete player playing on the wing than Ender. That's not to say that that's not a knock on Ender. It's just that Ender's game is pure speed and getting over the top. And he's just trying to get behind you, beating you in a foot race. And what Pavel was able to do was Pavel was able to pick his spots to advance, where he was finding just wide open opportunities, not needing to outrun anyone, but just by understanding when to move forward. And then it's all one song, man. It's like listening to the Grateful Dead. That in turn is unlocked because you have both Dotto and Chirila on the field, who just were like seeming like, hey, you think you can hit a cool switching pass? Check it out. I'm going to try that, and I'm going to do that even better. Like that, to me, more than anything else that was on the field last night, was the quick and decisive switches of play back and forth and the cross-field passing that just, like, New York had no answers for it in the first half at all.
Yeah. The long balls and the switching the field was incredible all night. I think, and you guys tell me if you got a different impression, I thought this was Brian Ramirez's best game. Like, he was dominant in this game, beating guys on the dribble, incredible passes all night. It looked so good. He was so calm and good on the ball. I could not get enough of it. I pointed him out to a buddy of mine who I brought to the game. I was like, I this is the guy, like, you should keep an eye on tonight. Like, I think this is the guy to look at. And yeah, like, he didn't let me down. Like, he showed up with so many of these passes. He took that one bizarre, like, wild outside of the box shot. That was so stupid. Other than that, I was very happy with his performance. So
we also said we like to see this team shooting from distance a little more. Last year it got a little crazy, but like the refusal to shoot from distance this year has been a little weird, I've thought.
Yeah. There was a moment, Dotto also has like an absurd shot from distance. I forget who had it. Maybe it wasn't Dotto. Somebody has like an absurd, like, middle of Red Bull area shot, and it like deflects off of two people. Like, it was much closer than it had any business being. But Grayson, I want your opinion on the Bucha wingback idea in, like, going forward. Let's say, everything else is sorted out, but coach comes to you and says, all right, we starting Bucha, or we starting Ender at right wing back. You don't get to know anything else. That's just, what do you think we need to offer down this right wing here?
It's an interesting question, because while I thought Pavel did a lot of things really well in the game, his touch wasn't always the cleanest.
Yeah.
Receiving the ball. And I don't know that Ender fixes that either, but it did feel like there were a lot of opportunities with those balls over the top to the wingback that I was happy to see Pavel, and I would have also been happy to see. I've also been happy to see Ender like finding, you know. So I'm cool with him there if we're playing like if we're trying to have the ball.
Yeah.
Right. Because the way the team switched the field, the way that the team played with each other, the way the team, played the ball through pressure, was like nothing we've really seen before, here. So, I guess what I'm saying is, like, if the plan is to have the possession, yeah, go ahead, play him out there,
Yeah.
If we're going to start putting players like Haglund and Teenage and Miles, and like if we're going to, it's probably unfair to Miles, right? But if we're going to put players out there to defend more, probably you want Ender, because
I don't know that I agree with that.
I think here's my thinking is not to have Ender defending, but if we're going to have the ball at our end more, and we're going to be absorbing pressure more, I really like just playing that ball over the top to get out of it, and Ender being a guy to run onto it. Yeah,
sure. But like, to me, what that screams for Ender as a second half sub.
Sure.
That what you are looking for in that situation is you're looking for a lineup that can take a lead, and then in the second half, when you're defending the lead, you put someone on there that can go over the top, that has the ability, like it happened in this game, where Ender comes onto the field in the second half and gets at least one 1v1 opportunity to, I thought it was a penalty, but, he's in a position right there where he can score a goal because he's got the speed and he's got enough of the ball handling skills in order to do something with the ball once he gets, over the top and he gets 1v1 with people. But to me, the Buka on the wingback thing, it's a solution to a problem this team has had more so. It's not an Ender knock per se, but it's more this idea that, okay, you have what I would consider it's a flawed roster. I think we all know that at this point. Yeah. But if you have a flawed roster, the question becomes, how do you get your 11 most talented players out on the field? And so if you are making a list of your 11 most talented players on this team, one of them is going to be Pavel Buka. One of them is going to be Evander. One of them is going to be Sammy Guidi. One of them is going to be Dado Valenzuela. And if he's healthy, probably one of them is going to be Obi. That's 5 midfielders.
Yeah.
You have, of your most talented 11 players on this team, 5 of them are midfielders. And with the thought that there's going to be a rotation of some sort, that one of them is going to be on the bench because of minutes or injury or suspension, or just because you want to have someone on the bench, you're going to have 4 midfielders. Your formation that you play is a 3 midfielder system. Yeah. So if you want to get 4 of your midfielders on the field, having Pavel Buka play wingback gets Pavel on the field and opens a spot up for Dado to play in that kind of role.
Yeah, so, I guess where I am though is if you want to play, which to be fair, they have not really been.
Yeah.
If you were to go back to like 22, 23, and you were going to try to play a lot in transition, then I think Ender is your wingback. But if you want to dictate the game with the ball,
Yeah.
then I think Pavel is better there. That's not to say that like Pavel wouldn't be better somewhere else, but like just between the two of them in a vacuum, I don't think that they would have. I don't think the first half would have been as dominant as it was, and it may have been. It may have posed more problems than it did. If Ender had started instead of Pavel at right wing back.
Interesting.
I don't know. I liked it. I thought this, like, if you told, like,
I more problems for us, not more problems for them.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think it's super interesting. Now the back line, Kyle Smith played plenty of center back in his day. You could absolutely see where he would be filling in here. Andrei Chirila, let's talk about him. 17 years old. Dropped into the center of the back line. And to my dumb eye, both of my dumb eyes, all four of my dumb eyes, he looked the part. He was back there, and I thought he looked really good. He's really confident on the ball. He's passing cleanly. He didn't look flustered or frustrated. And this is going to sound mean, but I don't know that he isn't in our best three center backs right now. You have to wonder if they do what they had going into this year.
Here's what was written about him today on Twitter. And just, I'm going to read these again. These come from, X, the everything app. It's all happening on X. Joseph Lowry, friend of the podcast. It feels like every week in MLS, another quality young player shines. The latest name to know, Andrei Chirila, 17, center back, FC Cincinnati. Eligible for the U.S. men's national team and Romania, Chirila put on a legitimately impressive left-footed passing display against Red Bull New York. Got quote tweeted by Tom Bogert. Andrei Chirila has been very good for FC Cincinnati, getting minutes with a rash of injuries at center back. The 17-year-old should be earning a role even when others are fit. Been impressed so far. Yeah. So for me, what did it for me with Chirila, and where like I thought the performance was outstanding.
Yeah.
He has a passing vision that I don't think anyone else on this team, other than a healthy Matt Miazga, has. I can't comment because I'm not educated enough about this aspect of the game to understand how his positioning was, how he tracks runners, how he does the little things that, everyone tells me Miles Robinson is so sublimely good at. I don't know that.
Yeah.
What I know is that he played multiple balls in this game that we just don't see from our center backs ever. And part of what makes that special is that this team struggles mightily. And I think that's an understatement, struggles mightily to quickly transition from defense to offense, because we are so poor at picking out line breaking passes coming out of the back. Passes, when I say a line breaking pass, I mean a pass that bypasses the midfield and immediately gets the ball to the second level. And he did that multiple times, going over the top to the wing backs. Mm-hmm. We also, as a team, struggle mightily to switch the field of play quickly. Like, we all talk about the horseshoe of doom passing chart, where the ball passes around the back to the center backs. There's nothing inherently wrong about taking the ball from the left half of the field and getting it to the right half of the field and switching the point of attack. Where it sucks is when it takes 3 passes to do that. And by the time the ball gets to the other side of the field, the defense has jogged into position, and now they are prepared to defend the other way. When you have a player on the back line that can switch immediately from one sideline to the other, then all of a sudden people start getting out of position, assignments get confused, and that kind of chaos is where you find open people, you find runners, and you find shots on goal. And Chirila is made in this game, I would wager, more cross-field passes from the back line than the rest of our center backs combined thus far this season.
That feels right. You just have to exclude Geedy in this game, who was also very good at this.
So I saw something else written about Chirila.
Uh-oh.
Oh, they had another headline.
This is coming from.
I can already tell.
This is coming from Broadway World.
Oh.
It's Tomorrow Belongs to Me. Don't tell mama, but young Andrei Chirila was perfectly marvelous, leaving fans wondering if maybe this time FC's garderobe might contain a Willkommen cab array of future stars.
Best enjoyed with a cab salve.
Yeah.
Nice.
No whining here.
Oh, man.
Do you know how much it pains me?
You can't tell he's Romanian at all.
Do you know how much it pains me to sit here and praise this performance?
I know it does, but
it hurts. It hurts.
So I don't want to again, like going back to the last game too. Like I don't want to overstate like what's going on here, but I do think it's fair to say that the first half would have looked a lot different with Nick Teenager Miles in there instead of Chirila. I'm not saying they wouldn't have won. I'm not saying they would have looked bad or whatever. It would have looked different though. Right?
Yeah.
Like I think that we wouldn't have seen some of the stuff that he brought to the table and other, it would have played out differently, and what he brings is something that the team, I think, needs for sure. Yeah. And, I don't want to like overtax his minutes or anything, but they have to find space on the field for him.
Yeah.
It's hold on. It's to that end. It's a couple of matches. I don't want to get carried away. We've seen a lot of players look good for a couple of matches, but
we've also seen a lot else this year.
Yeah. Well, we've seen a lot of players look bad this year too. So that has to be acknowledged.
We've seen him look bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember him playing against New England. Nobody covered themselves in glory for that game.
Worth pointing out, we have seen Haglund and Miazga against the New York Red Bulls this year and gave up 4 goals.
It's also a back four. It wasn't their fault. Like they were trying something. They were screwing around a little bit.
Fair enough.
They're playing around with it, which I give them credit for. There will be no slander for that game because they were trying something different, and I approve of that wholeheartedly. The other thing too is that they didn't look great in the second half of this game. I don't know to what degree that's the Red Bulls putting better players on, combined with us being satisfied to hold a multi-goal lead and not really push for an additional goal. They also didn't really trouble that much either. It was kind of a classic Pat Noonan hold on performance in the second half.
There was a ball off a post.
Sure,
right.
But also Kevin Denkey had one off the post in the first half too.
Sure,
I'm not gonna sweat a ball off the post. Yeah.
Dotto missed a 0.4 XG chance,
and Ender was probably dog sewed.
Yeah, I kind of get why that wasn't overturned by VAR.
Yeah, talk about?
I don't.
It really felt like they went. I don't see how the ref, and let's do like ref corner here.
Yeah. Refereeing.
I think it takes an immense amount of arrogance for the ref to think he didn't see a foul in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at it on video, it certainly looks like the defender goes through Ender and maybe touches the ball after going through Ender. If you can definitively tell me that that Ender, well, if you feel like you can definitively tell me that the defender didn't foul Ender there, which I know isn't the standard for VAR, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But if you feel like the defender got nothing but ball on that tackle, I want to see your bank account.
Yeah. Also, I do not understand, and this is one of the this is
you're either very
me.
rich or in deep debt.
Right. Either way, 1-800-GAMBLER for you in that one.
Like that, the amount of confidence it takes to like come away with that take in that moment is somebody who either has had everything work out for them or has had nothing work out for them and just keeps going at it.
Here's what I don't understand.
There's no middle ground there.
Here's what I don't understand about this call. And this is one of those ones where like I have a passing understanding of the laws of the game. I'm not going to pretend to be someone who is like, I can quote you chapter and verse of what the rules are here. But correct me if I'm wrong. I get the idea that that like, oh, well, he got some of the ball, but also he scissors Ender's legs, takes him out of the play. I'm sorry, there's still a live ball on the field that Ender could have gotten to, even with that little touch that the defender got. I don't understand why all of a sudden it's okay. Oh, you nicked the ball, but just for good measure, I'm going to take this guy to the ground to make sure that he can't follow up and go and get the ball. Like I don't care if the laws of the game said it's not a foul. That feels like it shouldn't be allowed, because otherwise, why wouldn't you just take your guy out every time after you get the ball just to make sure he can't be involved in the play any longer in the box?
I mean, IFAB does have an explainer out there that does explain that, like, if you do get the ball, it doesn't mean there's not a foul. Right. Like it's obviously true.
Because it just, you look at this play on replay and Jonah did a great job. It's on, Knifey Lion Radio's Twitter account where you can see it. You look at this and it's like, all right, man, like he goes through the back of Dotto to make this happen, or Ender to make this happen. And as soon as he makes contact, he pulls his legs in, the defender, like pulls his legs in to make sure that Ender gets tripped in that situation, because he knows what he's doing. He doesn't want Ender to continue running onto that play. He wants to take Ender out as much as he wants to like get the ball. And like, to me, even if you think that, okay, he gets a touch on the ball, that act of pulling your legs back to make sure that you trap the offensive player's legs in your sort of like your clutches. That's a penalty. That's a foul. You have denied a goal scoring opportunity that would still have existed even with your touch on the ball.
Yes. Yeah, I hate that like every TV commentator talks about how, well, he got the ball. It's like it's only half of the play. Yes.
Right.
I will say, and I think Grayson was getting to this point, but at the very least, upon replay, when I get back home, I'm not in the stadium. It's at least much closer than I thought it was, as I was furious in the stadium. So I appreciate that part of it. One thing that I am still hung up on, and if it has been enforced elsewhere, please correct me. This was the first time I have seen, either live or televised, the referee enforce the brand new 8-second rule of goalkeepers, once they have clean possession of the ball, have 8 seconds to get rid of the ball, or else they can then award a corner kick. It was enforced twice against Roman Celentano, both not so late in the game as to be so obvious time-wasting opportunities for Roman. Maybe he was being slow. I told myself I was going to go back and time it and didn't. I'd be curious to know if anybody counted. It's also one of those rules where I think I agree in principle, but once you start like trying to define where it starts, like when do they have clean possession? Is it when it's in their hands? Is it when the defenders leave them alone, when they stand up? And as far as I could tell, there didn't seem to be a sort of like early warning, hey, you have 2 seconds before I blow the whistle. Like the thing I could think of is like dribbling up the court in basketball. You will see the referee make very obvious count motions to let you know that you have 10 seconds to get the ball over the halfway line in order to keep the play alive.
There's also a clock. There's also a clock a shot clock in basketball.
That's fair.
And yeah, my problem with all this is that like I've never seen this enforced live or on television. And it had the vibe to it of I think somebody said this in the Discord, and I'd give them credit if I could remember who, but like the NFL occasionally will make a point of emphasis on like rules. And then all of a sudden you will see an entire year's worth of chop block calls in the span of like 1 quarter. So I don't wonder if there was that going on, that this is a point of emphasis, or if someone complained about Roman in the past and PRO on their text thread that they'll deny exists has told people, hey, you need to watch out for him specifically because he's holding the ball way too long. I don't have a problem if it's a rule. I'd like to see it enforced by everyone. Yeah. And I guarantee you, if you went through this match and you recorded, I guarantee you there were multiple instances where it was happening the other way, where 8 seconds was not adhered to strictly. So either strictly adhere to the rule and, start counting out as soon as the keeper gets the ball. We can all agree that, okay, nobody's getting an advantage here. But when you make this so subjective that the official can choose to do this and can choose to quote this, then I'm sorry. This is yet another opportunity for an official to influence a match in an easily bettable way. And the easily bettable way here is that every single sports book in the country offers a prop bet on corner kicks. Yep. And if you were an official that maybe wanted to, engage in a little extra money-making ventures, or have some of your friends engage in some extra money-making ventures, and you look at the count on the scoreboard that we keep that lists corner kicks, and you see that you're running short on them, here's a real easy way to get a couple of corner kicks up on the board for whatever team you're looking for right here.
I promise these weren't even the only times Roman did this. But yeah, go ahead, Grayson.
Yeah, I don't think you need to and I'm not saying like, Chief, you were doing this, but I don't think you need to assume malice on the part of the ref.
No, I was assuming malice
to treat this and understand it as match fixing type behavior, because again, we've been trailing a lot this year. We've seen goalkeepers hold balls for very long times, and we've never in past years too, and we've never seen this awarded in our favor. And we've watched other games and not seen this given. And we're not timing every time the goalkeeper has the ball, but we're also not stupid, and we're stupid, but we're not
incapable of observation.
And when the only time I've ever seen when you don't call this most of the time, and and no refs are calling this really any of the time, and you just decide to do it, you are, even if you just have a bug up your butt, you are match fixing, right? You are making an intentional choice to call a match in a way that is just typically not done.
Right.
And I think that there just needs to be some humility with officials, that like you may be personally annoyed or you may have like whatever other reason to do this, but you also have to understand that these players are playing the game the way that it's typically done. And if you deviate from the norm in a serious and predetermined, or not predetermined, but like in a premeditated, significant way, you have thrown a wrench into how games typically go.
Yeah.
And you have inserted yourself into the game and altered the outcome.
Yes.
So like there's two examples I think about constantly, is like as a kid, like watching a lot of UC basketball with my dad. There are two calls that I will just never forget. One of them was Bobby Brannon handed the ball in to a teammate who was then going to take the ball out of bounds and start the play. And the ref called that out of bounds on the Bearcats. Oh. They said that the handing the ball across the line was the inbounds pass, and the guy walked out, and that was a turnover. Oh, and it's like, so every time I watch a soccer game and I see this happen, I'm like, oh, that was your throw in. Like I just think to myself, I'm like, that was your throw in. Right.
Yes.
Even though it happens all the time. And of course you shouldn't call an out of bounds on that play. Of course you shouldn't. Right. because that wasn't the throw in. We all know it wasn't the throw in.
Right. Right. That's the spirit of the game versus the laws. Yes.
And there was another play where the Bearcats, I think, maybe lost a game because they scored to go up by 1. And one of the players, I forget who it was. He was I think it might have been, I forget who it was. He was like I think he was like a 3-point shooter. Stepped slightly onto the court celebrating. He was on the bench. He stepped slightly onto the court celebrating, and the ref called a technical.
So this is what they were calling. This is what the Duke student announcers were calling for in the NCAA tournament after the shot, the 3-point shot that knocked him out from UConn. They were calling for, that person's on the court. That should be a technical foul right there.
It's literally never called. I've seen it called exactly one time, and it cost UC a game. Like that was match fixing. Like when that ref called that, and I'm just saying, like, I understand that there's rules, but we all kind of know, and refs admit, and they say all the time that like it's context specific, and there's norms and there's expectations of like what types of things will be called and what types of things won't be called, and they're not written down, and it's very frustrating that's a thing. But a lot of stuff is like very clear cut and never called this way. And for him to do like this corner thing twice in this game, like that's intent.
Yes.
That isn't like that's intentional behavior that needs to be corrected. Either this guy needs to be told no, or this needs to happen every game. Like this needs to be called every single time now. Like this should be a very clear-cut call, right?
What's funny about this is that every so often, like, you're right. You should never assume malice of officiating when incompetence and stupidity is an equally likely answer. There's another thing that I hate about officials. I hate many things about officials, but the one thing I hate about officials
their faces,
their dumb union.
Yeah,
like their stupid clothing. The fact that most of them seem to have little man syndrome or, male pattern baldness that they're compensating for. There's every so often in a game, you can get the sense that the ref is showing off and being a little too cute for his own good. And like trying too hard to show that I know ball. And that's always a dangerous thing. And we had an early warning on that in this match where there was a play where it was a long ball. It was a foul. There was a foul committed, play on, long ball to Kevin Denkey, flag goes up for offside. And the referee brought the ball back to the spot of the advantage to award the free kick to FC Cincinnati. And in the moment, you're like, hell yeah, that's awesome. That's great refereeing. But like, really, you should think to yourself, oh no, he's trying way too hard.
He's really flexing those referee muscles.
He's trying way too hard to show off how much of the game's rules he knows. And I don't need that from a referee, man. Just, it was offside. Give them their free kick. Let's move on. We don't need you overthinking anything in this game. Just call balls and strikes.
I do like that. Once upon a time, the Bailey would certainly start counting, like count cheering, when the goalkeeper would hold on to the ball, just to like emphasize how long that they were taking. And I think now you can start doing that immediately in games to let the referee know, hey, this goalkeeper's taking 10, 12 seconds to get the ball out of his hands. And that's a normal amount of time typically, but now your counting could be winning his corner kicks.
Here's what I don't think we need to count even. I think what we need to do is we need some of the cats down in the lower level of the Bailey, or one of the capos on one of the capo stands, go buy yourself a giant electronic shot clock, like the kind that's over the kind that's over the hoop in a basketball game.
Yes. Oh my God.
Get some portable power for it. Get a generator. Get a battery. Plug it in, and then we need one hero to stand up, hold it up, and hit the timer as soon as the goalkeeper collects the ball, and then in the background of all these shots now on Apple TV, and for everyone to see in the stadium, there will be a clock going whereby we can judge the performance of the officials and whether or not they are accurately using the standing 8 count here. Let's shame them.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So,
how much could this possibly cost? I'm going to look this up while Grayson talks.
The Post is buying it, depending on the results of your research.
I don't want to extrapolate too much here, and I don't want to.
No, I want to buy a basketball shot clock. I'm already in on this.
I don't want to offend any listeners who might think this applies to them. I am not talking about you.
Okay.
But I have. It took me a while to recognize this ref because he, I think, used to be portlier.
Oh. Okay.
And is a bit slimmer than he used to be.
Okay. Nice.
And I was wondering, is this guy's brain chemistry being affected by Ozempic?
Oh.
GLP-1 brain.
Is there something just a little different these days than it used to be?
These are very expensive.
Okay, yeah, I was worried about that.
These are very expensive. Well, here's one for $40 from AliExpress. There has to be a catch here, though. How big is it?
Your own LEDs.
Right.
Here's an interesting thing about this ref. Okay, so first of all, in the games that he refed this year before us, he had given out 8 yellows, 5 yellows, 6 yellows, and 6 yellows.
I don't know if that's a lot or not anymore.
Well, it seems to be a lot more than he had given in previous seasons.
Okay.
But also, he only refed 6 games in 2024 for some reason.
Was that the lockout year, though? No, that was last year.
It was the lockout year.
Okay.
2025 was last year.
So it was 2 years ago, the lockout?
Yeah, because it was after because they had they had made a big stink about the Miazga thing because they had the CBA negotiations coming up.
So maybe that plays into it a little bit. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
There's something going on behind the scenes that we're just not allowed to know. But he certainly used to not give out like 5 yellow cards a game. He only gave out 3 in our game in his defense.
That's nice.
But he used to not give out like 5 a game minimum. So I don't know.
Sheesh. Weird decision. So,
well, he sucked.
Anything else on the refereeing? I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was like, oh, of course, we have to talk about this. FC Cincinnati wins a penalty in this game. Evander.
Again, it's rapidly becoming a trend.
Dribbles into the box, just beats as many guys as he can on the dribble in the box, and then gets fouled from behind, clipped heels. It's the easiest thing in the world. I don't know why we don't do this more often. I think just getting the ball to Evander and letting Evander do whatever he wants and just trying to nutmeg as many guys in the box feels like it's going to end 50-50 in a goal or a penalty. Like, I don't think there's almost no other ending for that play. So I thought that was awesome. And then can we talk about the bromance that is suddenly becoming Kevin Denkey and Evander after last game? Evander attempted to give the ball to Kevin Denkey to score the 3rd goal, and therefore his hat trick would have been his first professional hat trick. Denkey told him, no, you take it. Basically, you got to get going this season. And Evander scored the penalty.
It was said Evander was like, no, I really need this. And Denkey said, but I want a hat trick. And Evander said, no, I really, really need this. And then it was like, okay, you better not miss.
But this game, Evander wins the penalty and turns around, gives it to Denkey to score. And he does an incredible job with it. It's a very well taken penalty. I thought it was beautiful. I thought this was just top to bottom, beautiful moment for the team. And it topped off. It's funny that it comes via penalty, but they had been banging on the door for a second goal in that first half. And it is a well-deserved outcome, I think. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on the penalty, but I thought it was incredible.
Yeah. It feels like something that Evander should be able to do a lot, given his ability to control the ball in close quarters. Also, he's going to benefit from the fact that he's an MVP candidate and that he's thought of as one of the best players in the league. And you foul him, he's going to get some of those calls. And what's funny about it is that he thinks he should get them all, which good. I want a guy like that. But he wins more than his fair share in those situations, I think. Or he gets lit up for simulation, one or the other.
That's a good point. But I like that he's out there trying. So, man, ragtag backline turns out to be maybe our best backline. Gets the clean sheet, 2-0 victory. We'll just sort of ignore the entire second half. Are we okay with that? Do we want to
we're good.
Offer theories?
No,
we're good.
No.
Okay. Pat Noonan bunker. It's what we do when we get the lead. Felt like old times. The good old days.
Love it. All right, let's head on over to part 2. We just have a couple of Patreon questions. I don't want to use them all right now because we will have to come back later this week. But let's knock out a couple of Patreon questions after this break.
Today's episode of the Cincy Postcast is also brought to you by E&L Roofing. Look, I get it. Hearing the words new roof can cause your stress levels to elevate. But when you need a new roof, the folks at E&L Roofing can help make that process easier. Since 2009, they've been serving the greater Cincinnati area and helping to keep everyone safe, dry, and covered, no matter what life brings you. It's springtime storm season, and it's a great time to get your roof checked out. Me, I had the folks from E&L out at my place recently for some work. Honestly, could not have been happier with the result. Even caused my mother-in-law to say, picked out a nice color on that. You know what? It's a win in my book. Plus, if you need siding and gutter work done, they've got you covered there too. And as a special value for our listeners, mention the Cincy Postcast when scheduling your inspection for up to 20% off a replacement roof, replacement siding, or replacement gutters. You can find them on the web and schedule your free inspection at elroofing.com, or L Roofing if you're listening to this on Cinco de Mayo, elroofing.com. E&L Roofing, keeping you covered, even if the back three for FC Cincinnati doesn't always.
Right, and we are back, and we got Patreon questions, folks. If you want to support the show financially and emotionally, you may via the website patreon.com. You can pay us a couple of bucks a month, and you get ad-free versions of the podcast. You also get to ask us a question, and we will answer it on the show. There's other tiers with other perks as well, but everybody who supports us gets access to asking the questions, and then we will answer them. So let's...
Before we get a question, though, I do want to give an update to a very important item that we've been following all year, and I neglected to mention this in the first half of the show.
Uh-oh, please.
No, this is interesting. To me, it's interesting.
Okay.
Last year, this team, we griped, many people griped on this team that although the results were good, the dreaded XG and XG differential was coming for us. The boogeyman was coming to get us. It got us in the playoffs.
Yes.
Would you like an update as to where this team stands on the XG differential going into the month of May and onward?
I would love that, actually.
Currently, FC Cincinnati stands with a positive plus 4.2 XG differential, which is good for 5th in Major League Soccer.
Okay. We
trail Chicago Fire with 5 and Nashville with 5.5. And then just the ruling class of the league currently, 14 XG differential for San Jose, 19.7 Vancouver Whitecaps.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Thought Mob XG table, sort of looking at your XG per game and sort of using the XG battle as whether or not you should have won. According to this, we should be in first place in the Eastern Conference. Using the Thought Mob XG table. So there you go.
There you go. We can't have nice things. We can either win games or win the stat sheet. We cannot do both.
We did it. Okay. PW asks, now that it's getting into outside season, my question is, how many discs are too many discs per person while disc golfing? Do we have anybody with thoughts on this?
I was never a disc golf guy. I think that I called it frisbee golf, which I think makes you an immediate poser in this scene.
Yeah, it's a bad sign.
I liked frisbee golf. Like when I had a frisbee and I went and played it. This is no slander on disc golf people, but like was never my thing. So I'm going to say if you have more than 5, because I think you have a putter, right? Like people that do disc golf have a putter, they have a driver, and then I would assume that if you can't get by with a putter, a driver, and like maybe 1 or 2 others.
What do you mean a putter and a driver?
So they're different like weights and styles of disc.
Why don't
So
you
I think
just,
your I think
you
your
get
putter,
one.
Traditionally.
you
Yeah,
get
the putter-
one, you throw it, and then you
the
throw
putter,
it
I
again.
think- the putter is supposed to be like the putter is supposed to be something where if you throw it, it goes straight. There's not a bend to it. There's not an arc to it. It's going to just go directly in one direction. I think it's like a heavier thing.
No, we're not doing this. You throw the thing until it gets to the other thing. That's it.
I lean towards Grayson's interpretation. I would say this. You bring as many discs as you would feel comfortable bringing bowling balls to a bowling alley. So a lot of people just have one bowling ball, and that's their bowling ball, and they love their bowling ball, and they may have spent a decent amount of money in that bowling ball. Other people have weird situational bowling balls and will bring like 4 or 5 in a little rolly backpack suitcase because they got to get the splits. Okay.
How about this? Bring as many discs as you would feel comfortable bringing dates to your sister's wedding.
Is it a Utah wedding or an Ohio wedding?
It's up to you.
Whichever one you're most comfortable or most likely to end up in.
So I just looked up Disc Golf Deals USA to see how many.
Why?
There's just like how many discs,
varieties they offer. I see.
For most beginners, a 3-disc setup is the sweet spot. That would be a putter,
classic,
ideal for short, precise shots and putting.
The people selling discs think you should buy 3.
Well, no, hold on. This is for amateurs. Mid-range offers control and consistency for most throws. You can rely on it for medium distance shots. Okay. And then the driver helps cover long distance, perfect for open fairways. When you need power and speed, a driver is your best choice. Then the next section is expanding to a more versatile bag, 5 to 7 discs. When you feel comfortable with the basics, it's time to expand your bag. That would be a second driver, an overstable mid-range, and a backup putter. Now, for tournament and advanced players, carry 10 to 15 discs.
Wow.
That would be specialized discs that are more specific to certain types of shots, like hyzer flips, rollers, and forehand shots. An understable disc works well for turnover shots and hyzer flips. Overstable discs handle for forehand shots better because they resist turning too much. Rollers need discs that are very understable so that they flip quickly and get to the ground.
There's too much gear for everything. All sports, many sports are getting way too gear focused. Use the same crap that people always used.
Yes.
It's not about how good your gear can be. It's about how you can handle what you have.
Now, this is big for golf. Just plain old golf. It's equipment creep where, that every year there's Callaway has released the Hyperburner Diablo XZ75D. It's like, well, what was different than the one they made the 4 years ago? It looks the same. Was the Hyper Diablo. It's got an orange color on it now. It's the same shit every year.
It's banned in Spain. You need this one.
It's considered a torture device by the CIA. Call back.
Yeah. I love irons in golf. I love that somebody can detect a 3% grade in a slab of metal as they're hitting a ball in high grass.
The rule of thumb for me for any situation is the more you always have to ask yourself in any situation, do I look like a try hard here? And I feel like if you show up to the golf course with a staff bag and then brand new irons with iron covers and a brand new driver and a rangefinder and, all the accoutrements, that's a guy that I don't want to play with. If you're showing up to the golf course with a beat up stand bag, a set of sticks that you've clearly been playing for a while, and a Bluetooth speaker, that's a guy I want to get paired with. I feel like the same thing would be true for disc golf, that if I show up and you have a bag with 30 discs, we're just not going to have a good time hanging out.
I'm fine being bad at something with bad equipment. I'm fine being mediocre at something with bad equipment. I'm fine being good at something with bad equipment. I'm fine being good at something with good equipment. I'm fine being mediocre at something with mediocre equipment. What I absolutely do not want to be in any world at anything is bad at something with fancy equipment.
Yeah. It's a tough look.
That's embarrassing.
It's a tough look.
Not good. You were trying to buy your way into being good.
Yeah.
And you couldn't even do that.
Or even worse, you're
the guy in Twister. You're Bill Paxton's rival in Twister.
Carrie Hughes, right?
Yeah, you got all the fancy crap, but you got pulled in and you
got no heart. You're not doing it. You're doing it for the money. You're not doing it for love of the storm chase.
Yeah, the guy who like invests in all the equipment, but doesn't just like have the heart, have the innate like gift for it. That's a villain.
Yeah, or it's the sign of like
best case it's a villain. Worst case it's a loser.
Or it's like the sign of a midlife crisis where like you decided I was going to make this my thing. And instead of going and doing the thing, you just went online and spent a lot of money on the thing. And that's like, there is no surer sign of a person in distress than all of a sudden I try something once and I order $30,000 worth of equipment to make it my personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why this podcast still sounds bad after all these years.
I'd rather buy a shot clock than another microphone.
That's exactly
very
right.
Much.
Yeah.
DeDrizzle asks, much like Winterfell, there must always be a likely U.S. men's national team player on the FC. Oh, must there always be a likely U.S. men's national team player on the FC? It seems like either Chris or Pat, or I think more likely ownership, always wants someone that is on the national team and will do anything to get one. The designated player tag for Miles Robinson, for example. That's DeDrizzle writing. We got a USMNT fetish ?
We don't kink shame on this podcast. That's rule number one. So if somebody has a U.S. men's national team fetish, you do you, man. Like you live your life, live your truth.
It does feel like a complicated fetish, but yes.
Do you stop being attracted to someone the second they don't get selected for a call up?
Could you just put the jersey on another player? Does that work for you?
Importantly, I need this fetish to be limited to the senior team. Okay.
It's very important.
Importantly, I need that to be the case for this conversation to continue.
I think there's two answers to this. One is, I think, yes, obviously there's like a good marketing part of like the U.S. men's national team is probably the most popular Americans, team supported by Americans generally, and other than like Arsenal. And I think if FC Cincinnati aspires to be a very good domestic club, it should, I think, therefore be attracting U.S. men's national team players anyway. Like the way that Montreal isn't attracting U.S. men's national team players, if that makes sense.
I'm all for having U.S. men's national team players to the extent it correlates with having good players.
Yes.
But I do think that there is enough evidence to conclude that they are pay pigs for U.S. men's national team players. You look at like what they're paying Miles, and you add to that like what they've been confirmed to offer for like other national team players, and Jeff it's Sargent, like yes, like
Weston McKennie, yes.
They're slobbering all over themselves, like handing over bank account information to whoever's selecting national team players.
At least with McKennie and Sargent, they're good, right? I don't know.
Like they have so much money.
Yes.
But the issue is that if you're in a league, like this is the case in every domestic league that's any good, is that the requirement of having so many domestic players on your side, it overvalues tremendously players that qualify as homegrowns or nationals or whatever. This was the case. Like if you want to see the list of the most overpaid players in the world, go look at anyone with a hyphenated last name in the Premier League. Where it's dudes where it's like Josh Stone. I swear to God, he conned multiple clubs into bidding wars every time his contract is up because he's young, he's British, and you can get him on a domestic deal or he qualifies on a domestic spot when these international spots are so, coveted and there's only so many of them to go around. So I'm happy they target U.S. men's national team players because in theory, there is no better use of a domestic spot than a USMNT player in terms of talent. They are the best American players that are out there. I think
that a player who like is a men's national team player who commands a $5 million salary, for example, is not as good as like the best non-US men's national team player who would accept a $5 million salary in MLS. And it's probably not close.
Right.
Which is why you'd have to pay more. Like we are paying more for Miles Robinson than we would have to pay for a non-American. This is ignoring transfer fees, which complicates things a little bit. Right.
Yeah.
But like Miles Robinson is making more in salary than a as good or better foreign center back would take in MLS.
I agree with that. Like where the sweet spot is it's getting guys like Matt Miazga, where they're not current U.S. men's national team players, but they're still good enough to be top line players in MLS, and you get them on a non-designated player deal, or like a DeAndre Yedlin.
Yeah.
Like that's the guys to go after. It doesn't make sense to me to go after Weston McKennie or Josh Sargent, because again, like to Grayson's point, if you're paying $25 million to bring Weston McKennie in, you can bring a better player in for $25 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. The easiest way to prove that is go down the list of designated players in MLS and ask yourself, would this guy be the best player on the U.S. men's national team? You look at like Denny Bawanga. Yes, he would be the best player on the U.S. men's national team.
He's better. Denny Bawanga is better than any American. He's better than any American in MLS.
Yeah, that's accurate. Okay. Yeah, no, he's better than any American, but like he's not better. Like
he's not better than Pulisic. He's not better than Pulisic.
If he's not
better than McKennie.
Yeah, if he was better than them, he would be playing over in one of the big three leagues in Europe. Like he wouldn't be in MLS right now if that was the case.
I think Bawanga could play in a lot of leagues, in maybe any league, but I don't think Bawanga would play for Milan.
Well, I think it's also, that's where it gets a little different with like how a club team would approach a player versus a national team, which is like a club team's not going to spend money to bring in him now because of how old he is. But with the World Cup this year, hell yeah, you'd add him to your team right now.
But you said he was the best player on the U.S. men's national team. I think he's better
than Pulisic this season right now. Go look at Pulisic's form. He scored like 3 goals this year. He's not very good.
I don't think Bawanga is better than Pulisic, but I think Bawanga is better than Sargent.
I don't think Bawanga is better than Pulisic either, but like I'm here for Pulisic slander, so he's better than Pulisic.
Like I think Bawanga would make the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah.
I think we all agree on that.
Yeah. All right. Final question that we'll do here tonight, and then we'll get folks out of here. Tom Beaversdorf asks, why does Pro hate us? Now, this is very funny because he asked this 4 days ago, and we just got a little bit more ammunition this past weekend. Why does Pro hate us? We just had a goal called back because of a tangle up at midfield 20 seconds prior. What else has to deal with this? Or who else has to deal with this in MLS? Did I offend Pro with my 2-pole design, which I had heard was not well received amongst the referee community? Yes.
I mean, I sold a shirt they weren't happy about either for a minute.
We have, by the way, in our shop, which is available on the website, a third team t-shirt. If you want to buy a t-shirt to root for the third team at any of the games, it is a t-shirt option for you. Do we think, is this just what every team thinks?
Yes.
Surely every team just assumes
it's every team hates the referees. Every team thinks the referees are out to get them. I think the only difference here is that the referees actually are out to get us.
Everybody else is paranoid, but they actually are out to get you.
I do have a theory about this. I have a theory that, and I mean this in the most lovable way possible. I think Pat Noonan may be a little bit of an asshole. And I think Chris Albright may be a little bit of an asshole. And I feel like the two of them together probably don't bend the knee sufficiently to do things that ingratiate yourself to the PRO. Not because they're like not good guys, but just that the attitude I would see coming from them would be, you know, somebody would say to Chris Albright, you know, you really should call the head of officiating and just, you know, tell him you're really sorry about what's going on. And his response would be, "Not fuck those guys."
Yeah.
So I do wonder. I also do wonder a little bit that as a relatively young MLS organization, do we have someone in the building with the institutional knowledge of how to sort these problems out behind the scenes? Like I guarantee you that Bruce Arena, and I don't know if he's told his son this, because if he's a good coach, he'll have held back some things from a competitive advantage standpoint from his kid. It's like Rick Pitino hasn't taught Richard Pitino everything. That would be stupid. You're in the Big East together. I do think that if
you're still a coach, yes.
I do think that if you ask Bruce Arena, "Hey, Bruce, you guys are having a problem with pro," he would say, "No, they're great. They're fine." And Bruce would know the person to call in U.S. soccer to ensure that that's stopped for his team. Do we have a person in our building that knows how that phone call works?
Well, here's the thing, Chief. Who right now do you think is the person that makes those calls? And do you think this person is helping the situation at all?
I think that I think everybody involved shares a very similar attitude to people they perceive to be dumb impediments or, you know, willfully stupid. I feel like there's a similar reaction that everybody involved in the FCC orbit has about this type of person who probably needs to have their ass kissed if we want to break out of this cycle.
Yeah, I do think Carter needs to work on his diplomacy.
Yeah, I think
very
Carter
seriously.
Shapley has held this team back. I think John Horlander has held this team back. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
And for that reason, we should have Tommy G needs to make the phone call. Like, he needs to be the person gassing the officials up.
Tommy G probably, he's an entrepreneur.
Yep.
He is a relationship builder.
Yes.
He also talked to like need something from people and get it.
He also talks a massive amount of shit on those local home radio broadcasts about the quality of officiating.
That may actually be the biggest problem. It might be Tommy G.
No, it's like I can't recommend it enough. You got to listen to the home radio. Yeah, it's very much the it was a tweet that goes viral every so often that, like, if I was the home radio announcer, I would just be like the meanest person ever about the other side. Like, these are not good people. These are bad human beings. I think there's enough evidence that pro that at least some people within pro do have it out for the FC.
Dislike for us.
There was the NYCFC situation in I think 22 where you know, a ref like talks shit to Pat after the game.
Yeah. Be a better coach. Yeah, your team needs to play better. Yeah.
And that guy should have never refed again, probably.
No.
But and we got a string of terrible calls. After that game, until
a public apology was made.
Yeah, until Pat Noonan publicly apologized like 8 games later.
Bad luck.
The whole handling of I know Matt put himself in the position for this to happen, but the entire way that they organizationally handled the Matt Miazga pizza situation was, I think, embarrassing for a organization of professionals. And
you know they don't take that serious now because they continue to put those same referees on FC Cincinnati games where Matt Miazga is likely to play. Yep. It's just unprofessional. If it truly was, he was threatening their health and safety, you would never put them in the same room again.
Yeah. So we had some episodes after that where I think we dissected it pretty thoroughly and pointed out how poorly handled that whole thing was. And there's other things going on. You know, some of us might have gotten our hands on the CBA, and that's not a generally public document, and written some articles about it, and that might not have been the most popular thing anyone's ever done. Some people might have made some jokes online that the organization made some threats about. So I don't know. Like, I think, I guess just watch the John Wilson episode about referees and come away from it and tell me, like, you know, you think these people got everything under control.
Go to the professional referee organizations, PRO's Blue Sky account. It is their account. They continue to link to it and post to it. Go look at how many people they follow and just click and see if you recognize any of the names of the organizations, people, accounts that they follow. Just see what happens. See if anything piques your interest.
Then deliver them a pizza. They love that.
They love pizza. That does it for Patreon questions. Man, good vibes going into next week. Damon's teasing something out there. This is a very exciting time for the FC.
Love it. Love the FC. We'll see what surprises next week brings. Fuck Columbus.
The Cincy Postcast is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter and Blue Sky, though, you'll find we're a little more active than the other places. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to this episode if you aren't listening to it already. We are also putting up video content semi-regularly, including the Away Days series. We want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers for providing the music for this episode. They are a lovely band, and you can find more information out about them in the description of this episode. And if you happen to enjoy what you just heard, can I please ask that you like us, that you rate us on whatever app you're listening to, and maybe more importantly than all of that, share this episode with a friend. When it comes up at work, you're talking about FC Cincinnati, I say, hey, I listened to an FC Cincinnati podcast. I think you guys will like it. It would really, really help us out. Nothing helps a podcast travel more than a good recommendation from a friend, family member. That would be awesome. When it comes to the sorting algorithms that control our lives, a 5-star review would be much appreciated. Also, leaving a sort of written review weirdly does more than that. That's how the algorithms work. So maybe say a nice or a mean thing, whatever. Just as long as you give us 5 stars, that'll really, really, really help us out. And if you are looking for more MLS content, check out our other podcast, The World's Gam. Again, a link will be in the description of this episode. That is where we touch on league-wide storylines and news, and we talk about other games and a couple other teams in there as well. I think you will enjoy it if you are just dipping your toes into Major League Soccer. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. A even bigger thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. But maybe most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.